My name is Arya, and today I want to share the story of how my life spiraled out of control and eventually found redemption. Everything began on my 18th birthday, a day that started with laughter and joy but ended in unimaginable tragedy. My parents had organized a surprise party for me, complete with balloons, cake and gifts. On the drive back home, I playfully opened the car window to release one of the balloons my mom had bought me. The balloon drifted in front of my dad's windshield, momentarily blocking his view. That brief distraction caused the car to swerve, and before I knew it, everything went blank. I woke up in the hospital, greeted with devastating news: both my parents had died in the accident. As if losing them wasn't enough, I learned that I was now responsible for everything. Just a day before the crash, I turned 18, making me an adult. The family involved in the accident sued me for damages, draining all of my parents' savings to pay compensation. With no car insurance to help, everything was gone but not our house. I had no choice but to feed for myself. There were only 2 months left before I graduated from school, and I couldn't afford to drop out. But life was incredibly tough. With no money and no family, I was completely alone. I applied for part-time jobs to cover my basic expenses, but most of them required full-time availability, which I couldn't manage while studying. The stress was suffocating. One evening, as I walked home from school, I stopped by a small shop to buy some food. The owner was yelling at an employee and eventually fired her. I hesitantly asked if they needed someone to replace her. To my surprise, they hired me on the spot. The pay was barely enough to cover food and daily expenses, but I took what I could get. However, the job left me with almost no time to study, and I worried about my future. One day, my classmates and I were assigned a group project. We met at Sarah's house, and it was like stepping into another world. Her family was incredibly wealthy, and the luxury of their home made me realize how far I had fallen. While everyone else worked on the project, I wandered through the house, pretending to look for the restroom. In her parents' room, I noticed a slip of paper on the desk with a username and password written on it. I hesitated, but something inside me snapped. I took a photo of the paper, telling myself it might come in handy later. That night, curiosity got the better of me. I used the credentials, and to my astonishment, I was able to log in. Without fully thinking it through, I transferred $1,000 to my account. My guilt was overwhelming, but so was my desperation. When no one noticed after a few days, I did it again, this time, transferring $2,000. As weeks went by, I became more confident and began taking small amounts regularly. The stolen money changed my life. I bought a pink car, decorated my house, and began living a lifestyle I could never have imagined before. The thrill of getting away with it dulled my sense of right and wrong. When we had our next project, we met at Jack's house. He was another classmate from a wealthy family, and his home was equally lavish. Once again, I wandered through the house and found another slip of paper with financial details. Later that night, I logged in and transferred more money to myself. As the months went by, I continued stealing from Sarah, Jack, and others. My newfound wealth gave me a false sense of security. I convinced myself that I deserved it after everything I had been through. One night, my friends and I went to a party. It was drinks, music, and carefree fun. I felt alive for the first time in years. But the next morning, I woke up to find my phone missing. Panic set in. That phone held evidence of everything I had done. I rushed back to the party venue but couldn't find it. Desperate, I announced a $10,000 reward for its return, but no one came forward. The fear of being caught consumed me. I decided to return to Sarah's house, hoping to find another slip of paper with financial details. I stayed the night and pretended everything was normal. Late that night, I snuck into her parents' room and found what I was looking for. I took a photo of the details and returned to bed, thinking I had gotten away with it again. The next morning, I was jolted awake by police sirens. Officers stormed into the room and dragged me out of bed. Standing in the hallway were Sarah, Jack, and their families, along with Jack, who held up my missing phone. "Looking for this?" he asked coldly. My heart sank. It was a trap. The paper I had photographed was fake, and their house had been rigged with hidden cameras to catch me in the act. At the police station, I was charged with multiple counts of theft. I was terrified and ashamed. I hired a lawyer named Arian, who listened patiently as I confessed everything. I told him about the accident, the lawsuit, and how desperation had driven me to steal. Arian didn't judge me. Instead, he promised to fight to reduce charges on me and help me recover what was left of my parents' money. Few years I was in prison. Life behind bars was harsh, but Arian visited me every Thursday without fail. He brought me home-cooked meals, encouraged me to reflect on my actions, and reminded me that my mistakes didn't define me. Over time, I began to see him as more than just my lawyer. By the time I was released, at 24, Arian and I had fallen in love. He proposed, and we decided to start fresh in a new town. Though I hadn't completed my diploma, I had something far more valuable, a partner who believed in me and a second chance at life. Jack and Sarah's families recovered their stolen money, and Arian helped me reclaim what was left of my parents' estate. While my time in prison was a dark chapter, it taught me invaluable lessons about accountability, resilience, and the power of forgiveness. Today I live a quiet, fulfilling life with Arian. My past will always be a part of me, but it no longer defines me. I am grateful for the chance to rebuild my life and finally find peace. Please like, share and follow for more.